to understand the vehicle that runs on two big batteries, one big main battery and the other big secondary battery, to understand how they replenish each other as you're driving. You look at an all-electric vehicle model, we're designed to have those two big batteries and a mechanism to replenish a certain amount of energy built in. So this design concept it's really, this vehicle stand out from the other ones just because if it's designed and it's out there, once you charge it one time when you buy it, the battery, those two batteries will keep it going. And it's designed in a way that, let's say for example, you using the primary battery and you used up half of that battery, and let's say it's like a 500-mile battery. So you use half of it. By the time you use half of it, the computer sensor switches to the other battery that's full, and that's the secondary battery, and it starts using the secondary battery. So as you use the secondary battery, the primary battery is replenished little by little, it's replenished back from as you're driving, and also from that mechanism that replenishes a little bit of energy back. They can always add a solar panel to add a little bit extra energy back. But it's supposed to be a design, a mechanism that helps as you're driving. Because when you're driving, there's movements. The vehicle is moving. There can always be a mechanism that can rotate and can help to replenish a charge back into the battery at a slower pace. So in a sense, and it could be also part of it could be the secondary battery discharging a little bit into the main battery at the same time. It could be even that way. It could be in the sense of the second battery is discharging a little bit back into the main battery. So as you're driving, by the time you use up half of the secondary battery, the main battery gets fully charged back up during that process of time as you're driving the vehicle. So it gets fully charged up. So now the computer system switches back into the primary battery. So your car is relying on the primary battery. And so now it's using, the electric vehicle is using your primary battery once again to be, for everything that it needs to continue on running, to continue on driving. So once you use up that half, and so as you're using that, it sends a little bit back into the secondary battery, a little bit, and then that mechanism helps to add a little bit more of a recharge. And even if it had a solar panel, if that's needed, or even without the solar panel on the roof, if there's just a mechanism built and just this connection and sending a little bit back into the other battery. It's just common sense logic when you look at it. Because as an example of this design, it's really possible, even the way a vehicle is designed, you have a cigarette lighter where you can put an inverter into it, and this inverter can power certain things that you have in your car as you're driving. So if it's a gas vehicle, of course you're going to burn up more gas as you're driving and using something in the vehicle. But this is all electric, and of course you're going to use up some of the charge from the battery, of course. But as you're driving though, since the battery is replenished, because this is an all-electric vehicle and not a gas vehicle, so it's a bit different in that way that it's an all-electric vehicle, and so yes, you're taking some from the battery. So that's possible even right now. You can plug something, you can plug a computer, it depends on the inverter system that you have. You can plug quite a few things as you're driving. Somebody else can be using something and have electricity for it to run something that that they want it to run. So the same way they can design those two big batteries inside of an electric vehicle to be connected together and to replenish each other, even just a little bit by little bit, back and forth. So in a sense that as you're using the one battery, the main battery, when it's fully charged, some of it is discharged a little bit into the secondary battery, if the secondary battery is at a half. But if the secondary battery is fully charged also, then of course the sensor is not going to kick in until it's half charged. But I'm just using it as an example. So in a sense of the two batteries connected together, sending the energy back to each other as they're being used to run the vehicle. on top of that, there's a mechanism from the movement, because the vehicle is moving, to be able to add a little extra charge back into the battery. So they can redesign that together. You have this basic vehicle where you charge it up one time when you buy it. You get both batteries fully charged. And as you're using the main battery, once half runs out, it goes to the secondary battery. It starts using that half from the secondary. While the main battery is replenished little by little as you're driving, it gets replenished, and that mechanism, hopefully, even, I don't know, maybe they can even make it without the mechanism. Just the battery is being designed with replenishing. So in a sense, you're driving, at the same time, you're replenishing the other battery. So the batteries need to be designed at such a level where they could give juice and everything that's needed for the vehicle to run, to drive, and at the same time, add a little bit of that juice into the other battery that's sitting there. So you can do two things. You're driving and you're recharging the other battery. So they can make it designed even without a mechanism, or they need to add some kind of mechanism to help a little boost of energy recharge into the other battery. However, they can make it happen, but it's impossible to have just two batteries just interconnected together and once again, the primary battery would make the vehicle run and then give a little bit of a charge into the secondary battery if the secondary battery needs the charge. And so that means if it's half empty or something in that sense. So if it's half empty, then once it gets fully charged, the system shifts the reliance on the secondary battery, and then it gives the juice to the vehicle, the power to the vehicle to make it run, and recharges the battery at the same time as the primary battery. So this goes back and forth. So now you have a vehicle that's all electric. As I was mentioning before, the all electric is the best option. But this particular vehicle, you don't even have to charge it that much. The only time you probably have to charge it is if you leave it for months and months and months and the battery loses the charge. Then you have to recharge it. But it's still relying on electricity. It's still functioning as a regular all-electric vehicle, but at the same time, it's designed the way that two batteries are interconnected and they're giving each other that charge back. And it's designed that there's enough power in the battery to make the whole vehicle run, and on top of that, to give a little charge back into the other battery if it's missing a charge. So then that battery, until that battery gets fully charged, and then the reliance of the vehicle shifts on that battery. So the computer system checks it, and once it sees that the primary battery is at half, the second battery is fully charged, it shifts it to the second battery and starts using the second battery. As it's using the second battery, that second battery is giving a little recharge back into the primary battery. And you're driving this vehicle, and you're using the vehicle, and it gives a little recharge back into the primary battery. So by the time the secondary battery gets to half, your primary battery is fully charged. So the computer sensor shifts it back to the primary battery, and your electric vehicle continues on going and going and going and going. It doesn't stop, like the Energizer Bunny. Just a little joke there. But it's a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing that this design is perfect. It's all electric. They already have all electric vehicle. The only thing they need to do is have those two big batteries in the vehicle interconnected and designed to give off that charge and that sensor to make the vehicle rely on the battery that's fully charged, and waiting until, and the beautiful part, they can just wait until half of it is gone. And if your battery is discharged only by half, it doesn't even hurt the battery that much if you use it only half of it and not all of it. So that's not a huge benefit for the battery inside the vehicles, for those two batteries. So you only used up half, it shifts to the other battery to use up that battery, and then it replenishes the primary battery at the same time. So then once it replenishes the primary battery, then the system, once again, I'm repeating the same thing, shifts back, and you're using the primary battery. And so you're only using half of your battery, both of those two batteries, you're only using half of them, which is really good for the battery. It will last you real long for the vehicle, inside the vehicle, when you only use half of it and not all of it. When you discharge only half of it. So it's a huge benefit in that sense of it for the batteries. So they just need to be designed, interconnected to a level where they would support each other by releasing enough energy back and powering the vehicle, doing two things at the same time. So that sometimes, even in this situation, the mechanism that I was talking about before, I don't even know if it's really that needed. If they can only just redesign those two batteries to be able to just shift back and forth with the sensor and to power the vehicle and recharge each other, and and recharge the battery that's low, that's on half, to the full status, and just shift back and forth. And so this is a vehicle you don't have to recharge. It's all electric. It's still all electric, but you don't have to recharge. So this is a different category. So I was, still all electric vehicle beats any other vehicle in other categories. When it comes to this category, it's still all electric, but it's on its own category, and it hasn't been built yet. At least I'm not aware that it's out there. But it's such a beautiful way to solve that problem for some. And I don't know, some people rely on the concept of fueling, refueling, recharging, and I don't know how it's really a wonderful thing. Definitely, if you don't have to recharge, only recharge if you run out of, if the battery just loses the full charge after 6 months, 8 months, or 10 months, and all this time you can just be driving it and parking it and driving it and parking it and driving it without even recharging. Yeah, that's an ultimate saving money right there. You don't have to worry about having your own house with a solar system, with your own, So it's so. But then again, hopefully, I'm just using this as an example. It's a really wonderful model to make when it comes to people saving money, when it comes to the system of relying on charging, recharging, refueling, the way it's been set up for all these years. It's something that, it's one of those things, so I don't know what to say. But it does really solve the problem completely because it's two batteries recharging the vehicle all the time, every time you drive it. And so yeah, it's designed. It can be designed every time you drive it, or they can fix it a little bit. The idea itself it's perfect. I mean, does it have to be recharging only when you're driving, or it can be recharging even when you park it? Maybe you can fix that, in a sense, readjust that, and that's not a huge problem. It's not that complicated. So this is an idea for this vehicle. I don't know what to say, because people are used to just charging and paying for gas and electricity, and it's nothing wrong with that, especially when it's electricity and it's affordable and it's a reasonable rate. And but this vehicle, this vehicle can change everything, where you only charge it with electricity if it runs out of juice, when the battery is really weak, or if it's like a used vehicle and the battery doesn't hold the charge too long. Other than that, you just charge it one time and then you start driving it, and you don't have to refuel anymore. You don't have to recharge anymore. So maybe it's a little too much for everybody out there. I don't know, but maybe in some countries it's a perfect vehicle. In some countries they just want people to pay for electricity and for gas, and it's understandable, especially if it's electricity, because it's clean energy and safe, and it's clean energy, no emissions. It's one of those things, but it's a beautiful idea to make it happen. It just depends which country would really want to make it happen, But this vehicle, you do not have to recharge. You only recharge it if the battery loses the charge, and that could be every 7 months or something. And the only time you charge it is when you buy it. You charge it, and then the two batteries will keep each other going, and it's one of those things. I think that really solves that. But it could create a little dilemma with the concept of, then nobody's going to buy electricity or pay for gas, right? Yeah, so I don't know, but it's an idea that can easily be done, and maybe some countries might not want it, and some countries might want it. I don't know. I guess it's a perfect vehicle for other uses, like military. Military is a perfect vehicle to have something like that keeps going and going and going, right? And you don't have to refuel it. You don't have to. That probably any country would like that in their vehicle. Design it that way, that just two batteries feeding each other, and you only charge it one time, and no worries after that. There's different areas, but when it comes to, I don't know. It's it's one of those things, but it's something that's definitely possible if people just put their skills together and make it happen. Or we can just have all electric, so we can just charge with electricity and have a really good battery that's 500 miles, 700 miles. That's also wonderful too. It's it's one of those things. But I'm just saying that option for that vehicle, and maybe in certain fields, especially in certain fields, it's really one of those vehicles that definitely helps out Well, you don't have to recharge it anymore. The two batteries are giving that charge to each other, and the vehicle keeps going and going and going. It just doesn't stop. Glory be to God. Glory be to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This is Mark V. Markov saying, God bless everyone.